Why would anyone tow a Jeep parked quietly on a suburban street, especially when it's part of something much bigger than a neighborhood squabble? The sun was barely up, casting a pale glow over the manicured lawns of Willow Creek, a gated community where every blade of grass seemed to bow to the HOA's iron rule. I was bleary-eyed, sipping coffee in my kitchen, when I noticed my Jeep was gone. Not stolen towed. A neon orange sticker on my driveway screamed, HOA violation, unauthorized parking. My blood boiled. I'd parked on the street for one night, just one, because my garage was packed with gear for a military recon drill I was leading that weekend. But Karen, the HOA president, didn't care about explanations. She never did. Karen was a force of nature, and not the good kind. She waddled through Willow Creek like a queen, her face a permanent scowl, eyes sharp as a hawk's, always hunting for the next rule breaker. At 300 pounds, she carried her authority like a sledgehammer, her voice a grating mix of condescension and glee when she caught someone slipping. She'd once fined Mrs. Larson for a mailbox that was half an inch too tall. Another time, she had Mr. Patel's roses ripped out for being too vibrant. Karen wasn't just the HOA president. She was the neighborhood's judge, jury, and executioner. I stormed over to her McMansion, my boots crunching on the pristine gravel of her driveway. Her house was a monument to excess 3 stories, fake columns, and a fountain that looked like it belonged in Vegas. I banged on the door, my heart pounding with the kind of anger that makes your hands shake. Karen opened it, her massive frame filling the doorway, her lips curling into a smirk that made my skin crawl. Well, Jake, she drawled, adjusting her oversized glasses. Here to beg for your Jeep back? Karen, you towed my Jeep for no reason, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It was parked legally, and you know it. Legally. She laughed, a harsh, barking sound. You parked that eyesore on my street, in my community, without HOA approval. You're lucky I didn't have it crushed. Your street. I snapped. I live here too, Karen. And that Jeep was there for one night because I'm running a military drill this weekend. You had no right. Rights? She interrupted, stepping closer, her breath sour with coffee and spite. You don't get to talk about rights when you violate my rules. This is Willow Creek, not some backwoods militia camp. I clenched my fists, resisting the urge to shout. Where's my Jeep, Karen? She handed me a slip of paper with the impound lot's address, her smile venomous. Pay the fine, Jake. Maybe next time you'll think twice before disrespecting my authority. I wanted to scream, to tell her exactly what I thought of her petty tyranny, but I turned and left. I had bigger things to worry about, like the recon drill. I was a reservist, leading a training exercise for a group of new recruits. The Jeep was loaded with gear critical to the mission, maps, comms, and supplies for a simulated recon op in the nearby hills. Without it, the drill was screwed, and so was I. At the impound lot, I shelled out $400 to get my Jeep back. The tow guy, a wiry kid named Eddie, shook his head as he handed me the keys. That Karen lady's been sending cars here all week, he muttered. She's got some kind of vendetta. Tell me about it, I growled, climbing into my Jeep. The gear was still there, thank God, but the clock was ticking. The drill started in 3 hours, and I had to get to the training site. As I drove, my phone buzzed. It was Maria, my neighbor and a single mom who'd moved to Willow Creek a month ago. She was one of the few people who didn't bow to Karen's reign of terror. Jake, you okay? She asked, her voice laced with concern. I saw Karen's tow truck hit your Jeep this morning. She was gloating about it to the whole block. Yeah, I got it back, I said, gripping the wheel. She's out of control, Maria. She's worse than that, Maria said. I overheard her at the HOA meeting last night. She's planning to find anyone who doesn't comply with her new street aesthetic rules. She's targeting you specifically because you stood up to her about the flagpole last month. I cursed under my breath. I'd fought Karen over her demand to remove the American flag from my front yard, citing some obscure HOA rule about visual clutter. I won that battle, but it clearly put a target on my back. The drill went off without a hitch, thank God. My recruits were sharp, the gear held up, and we ran through the recon scenarios like clockwork. But the whole time, Karen's smug face haunted me. She thought she'd won, thought she could bully me into submission. She was wrong. That evening, I got a call from an unknown number. Jake, this is Colonel Harris, a gruff voice said. My heart sank. Harris was my CO, and he didn't call unless something was serious. We've got a problem. Someone filed a complaint about your Jeep being used in a military stunt on private property. They're saying it violated local ordinances. Let me guess, I said, my stomach twisting. Karen from the HOA. Bingo, Harris said. She sent a video to the county, claiming your Jeep was part of an unauthorized militia operation. She's demanding an investigation. I nearly dropped the phone. Karen had been watching me, filming me. The drill was on public land, fully permitted, but she'd twisted it into something sinister. This wasn't just petty, it was malicious. I drove back to Willow Creek, my mind racing. Maria was waiting on her porch, her face pale. Jake, you need to see this, she said, holding up her phone. It was a post on the neighborhood's private X group, shared by Karen. The video showed my Jeep parked on the street, with grainy footage of me loading gear in my fatigues. The caption read, "This soldier thinks he's above our rules. Time to teach him a lesson." The comments were brutal. Most were from Karen's loyalists, cheering her on, but a few neighbors defended me, calling her out for overreach. Then I saw something that made my heart stop. A comment from a username I didn't recognize, Willow Creek Whistleblower. It read, "Karen's been skimming HOA funds for her renovation projects. Check the financials. She's not who she seems." A twist hit me like a freight train. Karen, the self-righteous tyrant, was corrupt? I called Maria inside, and we dug into the HOA records she'd gotten access to as the new treasurer. Sure enough, there were discrepancies, thousands of dollars funneled into vague landscaping and consulting fees, all tied to a company registered in Karen's name. The next morning, I confronted Karen at the HOA board meeting, held in the community center. The room was packed, the air thick with tension. Karen sat at the head of the table, her face a mask of smug confidence. I stood, holding the financial records Maria had printed. "Karen," I said, my voice steady but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Care to explain why $20,000 of HOA funds went to your personal company last year?" The room went silent. Karen's face turned red, then purple, her jowls quivering. "That's absurd," she sputtered. "You're making this up to deflect from your own violations." "Then let's vote for an audit," Maria chimed in, standing beside me. "If you're innocent, you've got nothing to hide." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others whispering. Karen's allies tried to shout us down, but the tide was turning. A retired accountant, Mr. Thompson, stood up, his voice shaky but firm. "I've seen the books," he said. "Jake's right. Something's off." Karen's empire crumbled in real time. The board voted for an audit, and within days, the truth came out. Karen had been siphoning funds for years, using her power to cover it up. The county launched an investigation, and her precious HOA presidency was stripped away. Her McMansion went up for sale. She couldn't afford it without the extra cash. But the real kicker came when the county reviewed her complaint about my Jeep. They found her video was edited to mislead, and her claims about the drill were baseless. Instead, they fined her for filing a false report. The neighborhood X group exploded, with even her staunchest supporters turning on her. Karma had come, and it was brutal. I drove my Jeep home, parking it right on the street, just to make a point. Maria waved from her porch, a grin on her face. "You think she'll ever learn?" she asked. I shook my head, watching the sunset paint the sky red. "Some people never do." "Yindy,